Let's go over the step-by-step process to make a candle holder from any wooden strip. Materials. I have included the full list of materials in the description. Wooden base preparation. To improve the adhesion of the base, we are going to seal it with diluted glue. Mix 1 part water with 2 parts glue. I only need a small amount, so I'll use half a teaspoon of water with 1 teaspoon of glue. Apply it over the entire surface. Let it dry on one side, then apply it to the other side and the edges. Let it dry overnight. Symmetry and design. I want to place 2 candles, and I'd like to achieve a symmetrical effect. I'll measure the same distance from both ends. I calculated 6 centimeters. I want to place it vertically in the middle, so I'll measure halfway. Optionally, with the help of a compass, we can draw the circle, or we can mark it directly. I want my circle to be a bit larger, so I'll have the option to place a wider candle as well. These areas will be visible, so I'm going to paint them white to give it a nice finish. It's ready. I also painted the back because it will be visible as well. Cutting and adhesion. I want to assemble the design as I go. I have these 2 bracelets that are a bit different, and my idea is to mix them to get 2 similar ones. Let's glue. My idea is to continue framing the candles using these tiles, something like this. Now, I'll continue with the edges to create the frame, and then I'll just focus on filling in the spaces. Using this white, which has a bit of pearlescent finish, I'll frame the entire candle holder. In this part, I'll need to trim it a bit because it turned out narrower, and I leave it a little over the edge so it connects with the one that comes from the side, so that the grout line at the corner isn't too wide. In the corners, I'm going to place some petal-like shapes that extend from the edges, something like this. To do that, you need to cut a tile in half into a triangle and then shape it into a petal by trimming one of the corners. I've finished the entire front, and now I'm moving on to the edges. working one side at a time. I wait about an hour before rotating it. I'm going to rest it here on the edge to avoid putting pressure on this part, which I left slightly extended. These are half tiles. Here it's important to make sure the tile doesn't extend past the edge, so it won't interfere with the base later. I'm going to align each tile so that the grout line remains continuous. Grouting. Yesterday I finished gluing all the tiles and let them dry overnight. Today it's ready for grouting. We cover this area, which I don't want to get dirty, with masking tape. Mix the powder with a bit of water, aiming for a rather thick consistency, as I have some wider gaps for the grout line. I like to mix in a little PVA glue to achieve a more compact effect when it dries. We mix and keep checking if more water is needed. Take your time. Sometimes we think it needs a lot of water, but in reality it's just a tiny bit. This is the texture we want. Always wear gloves when applying grout. It's a toxic product and we don't want it to come into contact with our skin or breathe it in. You should also wear a face mask when mixing it. Apply the grout in all directions, making sure to cover the corners well. Pay special attention to this back part. I like to finish it thoroughly to prevent dust particles from getting in later. Check it carefully and remove any excess before letting it dry for a few minutes. Dampen a sponge, squeeze it out, and clean. This helps to reposition the grout, filling in where it's missing and removing where there's too much. If you notice any gaps like this one, you can fill them in with the leftover grout we keep until the end. I'm going to let it dry for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once it has that powdery texture on the tiles, we clean gently to avoid removing the grout that's already set between the tiles. I can also start removing the masking tape to check if there is anything that needs adjusting. If you liked this video, subscribe to learn about other mosaic techniques in a simple and affordable way.